Never realized the Thunderous One had a blue mouth. Today we're going to be doing a Regiment of Renown highlight on the Thunderous One, another game from RubberDuck of War versus Guacc. Once again, go check out RubberDuck of War's channel if you haven't. If you enjoy my channel, you'll absolutely enjoy his. Definitely go have a look. He's got Mazdamundi and the Thunderous One, the Regiment of Renown, Ancient Stegadon. I've talked a little bit about the Feral Stegadon in my previous video about lizardmen monsters, but I haven't talked specifically about the Ancient Stegadon. Basically, what it brings to the table is, well, let's get to that in just a minute. The rest of the build here, Mazdamundi, Carnosaur, we've got some Skink Jav cohorts, bunch of Saurus Spears. This is against Guacc's Bretonia. Lewin sweeping down on some Skink cohorts out on the flanks already. Got a couple of Pterodon riders as well, including the Pawhawks Sentinels for the rest of Bretonia. Looks like one more Pterodon. Questing Knights, lots of Questing Knights. 4 Questing Knights, very good in this matchup. Whole bunch of mobs and archers spread across the field. We've got a back line of polearms as well. So, yeah, Pterodon's going to be taking some initial skirmish. The Thunderous One is an Ancient Stegadon. So Ancient Stegadons, of course, they have, you can see already, these Skink machine guns mounted on top. Just, you know, fully automatic blowpipes, which are by themselves a pretty good amount of damage. You can see those volleys just immediately like one-shotted a couple of cab models. Not to mention, of course, it's a Stegadon, so it's got great charge bonus and weapon strength, good melee defense, being the Regiment of Renown kind of status there, and also being next to Mazdamundi gives that little bit of extra boost as well. The Sunburst Standard also giving a little bit of extra missile resistance. Of course, Shield of the Old One's giving that damage resistance, but what you get specifically for the Regiment of Renown status is this ability right here, if I can get it to stay. Judgment of Uxmak. Basically, it causes like Uranan's Thunderbolt to randomly go off in an AoE around this guy, just like that. And you can see again, it's killing those cav models consistently. Even though the Questing Knights are very strong units and they will do a lot of damage in sustained combat here, it essentially acts sort of like a janky Mortis engine that has a chance of hitting your own troops. But specifically, the Uranan's Thunderbolt is pretty good against cavalry. I mean, obviously, if you can cast it, it's good against artillery, as we've seen before. But just having it kind of randomly going off here, I think that might have actually hit Mazdamundi as well. But just wearing down those cavalry over time is going to be pretty important. Even like these halberds then come in, they have a chance of just getting horribly struck by lightning, and they're not going to tear her out. There is a Grail Relic in here. Lewin cycle charging in and out again. Yeah, oh man, what is this? Ruination of City is going to be cast right underneath it. Let's see where that goes. Didn't actually make contact with much at all. Maybe cuts through this Metadon with polearms a little bit. But yeah, essentially, again, it can be viewed in a similar vein as the Mortis engine, the fact that it will just continuously deal damage in an area of effect around it. Obviously a lot less reliable than just the standard Mortis type effect. But yeah, we'll see that Lightning Strike go off a number of times. The Pterodon's just kind of harassing the backline here, routing off some of these peasant bowmen and so forth. Yeah, keeping Bretonia on the back foot. Saurus Spears are getting overwhelmed by numbers, though. You can see these ones just getting pulled down by mobs here. Camera's being a little bit janky. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, these Saurus just formed into a ring of obsidian. And this one Questing Knight is here also. But yeah, just too many peasants for them to deal with. Peasants will be actually getting some hits in over time, just by law of large numbers. But unfortunately, Mazdamundi's taken a lot of damage here from Lewin cycle charging and the Questing Knights and the halberds. You can see that it's a legit armor-piercing blob here, and it is dangerous. Mazdamundi obviously is the focus of that. He's going to pop a cold-blooded on himself, see if he can keep himself from routing. But Lewin, point-blank, getting shot by the Skink machine gun in the back. Will he actually get the felling blow on Mazdamundi? The Toad Boy goes down, warps away. Slack falls over, very tired. That's a big loss. You can see the balance of power immediately tips against the Lizardmen. But let's check in on the Thunderous One, getting a nice little countercharge here on King Lewin, who is at his healing cap, fighting side by side with the Feral Carnosaur. We have a look at the damage valuation. Already, this thing's at 3,000 damage value, so definitely paid for itself once. Let's see if it can pay for itself, possibly even a second time here. Yeah. A Feral Carnosaur getting routed, though. That Sword of Corone does provide a pretty big impact. The armor debuff in particular is very nice for Bretonia, given they don't have the best AP, but the Stamsel was brought as an infantry unit. She does not have a horse, which means that she is going to be fully subject to the anti-infantry bonus of this big boy here, the Thunderous one, which, by the way, is an 18 bonus versus infantry, only 34 melee attack base, 41 defenses, okay. Charge bonus, though, is really awesome on Stegodons, and 130 armor as well. Very significant against a faction that doesn't have the best AP like Bretonnia. It is something to write home about. Looking pretty grim bones for the Thunderous one at this point, though. Pterodon Riders are going to charge down. Looks like a stand your ground has been popped by King Lewin. But he actually turns around. It looks like he's trying to escape, potentially. But the Pterodons actually do have enough mass to block him in. And let's see, very janky engagement here. Stegodon, unfortunately, does not get an attack animation in. Instead, just going to start fighting the Questing Knights. But let's see. Got some more Sora Spears coming back over there. A few Sora Spears coming back over here. So there is some meat left for the Lizardmen to fight on top of, if they can get the Thunderous one, be able to, be in the same place as the Sora Spears. But right now, some really nice cycle charging from King Lewin. Coming in, getting an attack there. Still 1,200 HP on the Thunderous one, taking some hits down to about 1,000. Looking pretty grim. The Sora Spears are actually holding out just fine, and now the Thunderous one, at the very least, is kind of backed up onto them somewhat. And meanwhile, the Skink machine guns are firing away as well. There's just about out of ammunition on the Skink machine gun. I think it has, one more volley. And there it is. Just gadding a few of those Knights, gadding a handful of the Halberds. I think the Thunderous one, not quite routed, but it does get through and just wrecks that entire day of the Damsel. She is most certainly in distress. Gets a javelin in each eye. Beautiful stuff. Thunderous one, too. I love the crackling of this, back part here. It's so cool. It looks so awesome. But Thundy does get routed here. So let's see how the Sora Spears hold up. The peasant mobs at this point, I mean, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of polearms as well, but their leadership is quite low. Lewin actually getting chased off by Pterodons. Whoops, a little too far there, but that's okay. The Pawhawk Sentinels using up the rest of their ammunition. Lewin's at his healing cap at 370 HP. Not going to be able to recover his leadership in time. So him fleeing off the field here is going to be massive. That'll start to give major leadership issues for Bretonnia. And Thundy comes back from rout here. We've got a handful of Skink cohorts as well, turning to fire. Somehow has more ammunition on the Skink machine gun, even though it says 0. That might have been the last volley for real. But yeah, the Saurus Warriors now holding out and providing a stable pocket. The balance of power swings pretty wildly once Lewin gets off the field. A whole bunch of the Bretonnian units immediately shatter, and suddenly things get turned around. The Thunderous one survives! So great battle from Guacc and RubberDuck of War here, called Melon Lord. Once again, check his channel out if you haven't already. It's an awesome one. But look at this Thunderous one, almost 5,000 damage value. Absolutely insane. We'll check. I want to say it's like 2,100, 2,300, something like that. So this might actually be double up on value. And for a unit this expensive, that is pretty impressive. Mazdamundi getting pretty well shredded there, but the Sora Spears, great in this matchup. I used to not be much of a fan of Sora Spears at all, but I do like them quite a bit now. I mean, I liked them before in this matchup, but especially now. I mean, they trade well against most Bretonnian infantry, and they can obviously deal with the Knights. Skink cohorts also generating some nice value. Great job, too, for RubberDuck War utilizing the Pterodon Riders to chase Lewin off there. Lewin did get to his healing cap, 2,000 damage value. Great job by him. Peasant mobs actually getting some nice value here, almost 200 value on 2 of them. But anyway, yeah. Pole arms also trading reasonably cost effectively here. They're great in this matchup. The peasant archers actually don't do as much as they would normally. Credit to kind of the disruption of the heavy push, you know, and the Pterodons on top of that, just bogging down all these archers. Questing Knights do all basically pay for themselves despite running into a just horrible situation. That is one thing about Questing Knights. They're just great all around. And obviously good armor piercing damage. It was very, very close at the end of the day, but the Thunderous one, I feel, did carry that quite a bit for the Lizardmen. Obviously the mobile play as well. Carnosaur also gets some pretty good damage value, absolutely pays for himself. But the Thunderous one, I just super impressed by that damage value. So, yeah, also, you know, given that it's a regiment renown, we can consider a few other things about it, like the fact that the machine gun, the Skink blow dart machine gun on the back actually fires faster than a regular Ancient Stegodon, which is something certainly to make note of. 2,400, okay, so just barely doubling up its value, but still quite impressive considering a monster of that cost. It is, 450 points more expensive than the base version, which is quite a bit, but still cheaper than a regular rank 9 by 167 points. So you are saving some money, on that front. And then, yeah, we can see again from the chevrons on the refire rate that even beyond having a slightly faster refire rate, let's check this out. Does it actually deal slightly more missile damage? 41-14 with 8 shots. Let's see here. 41-14 with 8 shots, but still just a better reload even than a rank 9. So that's interesting. You get even a slightly better reload time, like a 0.5 second faster reload time than a regular rank 9 Ancient Stegodon. So we all learned something new today. Yeah, very, very nice for fighting in blobs. This is going to be great against like cav blobs, like Britonia, vampire counts as well. I've seen the Thunderous one generate some great value there, as that is kind of an attrition-y, grindy fight. Him with Mazdamundi together is a pretty expensive combination, but I mean, that is two very strong, very powerful monstrous presences, and I would recommend, I mean, Nets is always tempting, but I typically just run Mazdamundi with Harmonic Convergence and Apotheosis for healing and stat buffs, and that Harmonic Convergence great for buffing either Mazdamundi or the Thunderous one. And interesting to note, too, the Thunderous one actually has much better combat stats than Mazdamundi in sustained combat. 8 more melee attack and 9 more melee defense in particular is quite nice. So I guess it makes sense then why the Thunderous one was able to survive. I mean, besides the focus, obviously, on Lord Mazdamundi from everything else, that extra melee defense does help. A little bit less HP, but that's fine. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. Be sure to check out RubberDuck of War's channel. Be sure to subscribe here as well if you haven't. Like the video, share it with your friends if you found it helpful. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.